What's up, everybody? Today I'm going to do a quick review on the KAMRUI AK1 Plus mini PC. It comes in different configurations between the CPU, the RAM, the SSD that is included. This one's got the Intel N95 4-core 4-thread processor. It goes up to 3.4 gigahertz in turbo mode. It's got the integrated UHD graphics and a 15-watt TDP. The PC also came with a single channel stick of 16GB RAM, and it is DDR4 and 2666 megahertz. It also came with a 512GB NVMe, and the price is going to vary depending on what your options are. You can get the N97, an N150, you can get 8 gig of RAM, 256 gig SSD. So it really varies with the price point. This one was about $150 plus tax. Some of the uses that you can do, it can be an everyday desktop, just normal web browsing, checking email, paying your bills, that sort of thing. It's very portable, so if you want to use it instead of a laptop for travel, you just need to make available a keyboard, mouse, and some kind of a monitor. You can also use it as a firewall, perhaps a file server, maybe a Plex server. You're going to be limited on transcoding if you go with a media server like Plex or Kodi, anything like that, just due to the low core and thread count. You can also turn it into a home assistant server rather than buying, a home assistant unit out of the box. You can use it as a display board, some kind of a dashboard for your home, display your current calendar, weather, that sort of thing, whatever you want to put on it. You can do some light gaming with it. Pretty much anything up to the 6th gen consoles, PlayStation 2, GameCube, Dreamcast. Should run those fairly well. The thing to note about that is as you do get up into those higher generation consoles, such as the PS2, GameCube, Dreamcast, you're not going to be able to run them at a very high resolution for a lot of the games. For example, the PS2, you're probably going to get your best performance running at the native 480p resolution, which of course is not going to look very good, but you can still play them. Pretty much anything before 2001, you're going to be able to play just fine. If you try to go into some of the newer consoles beyond that, Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, you're going to run into problems. It's probably going to freeze up on you and really not play very well, even with 16 gigs of RAM, because a lot of that's going to be, with a single channel, it's just not going to run very well. So some of the things that it's got on it, ports and features, I'll show you on the side here. You've got the power button. You've got 2 USB 3.2 ports. You've got 1 USB 2 port. Flip over to the back, you've got your connection for the power. You've got another USB 2.0 port and 2 HDMI ports that support up to 4K resolution. You've got a gigabit LAN Ethernet port and a 3.5 millimeter audio jack, and then of course your Kensington lock port if you want to lock it to your desk. There's really no sense in opening one of these things unless you are going to be doing some upgrades to either the RAM or the SSD. I'll talk about that a little bit more later. Inside, you are going to find a dual band Wi-Fi 5 card that also is the Bluetooth 4.2. You are also going to have this expansion bay, so you can run with or without it. If you don't want to have it on, you would just pop these locks or pop these switches into the unlock, and this thing is going to come right off. So what this is for is the internal SSD you can use up to a 2 terabyte. This is also an expansion bay for a 2.5 inch SSD that you can also expand up to a 2 terabyte, giving you a total of 4 terabytes if you want. If you don't want it, you don't have to use that. Now, included in the box, you're going to get a 30-watt power supply, a VESA mount with a couple of screws, mounting screws, and of course the user manual, which you may or may not need. It's a pretty simple setup. It does come loaded with Windows 11, And if you are going to be using Windows, I would recommend that you reload Windows on it. I would not use the stock just to be safe. There have been reports across various of these mini PCs that the operating system may be corrupted or have some spyware, malware, that sort of thing. So it's best just to wipe it and reload Windows or Linux, whichever you are going with. Now, if you are going to be gaming and you got the 8 gig version, I would recommend upgrading the RAM to 16 gig. That's just going to give you a little bit better performance on your gaming. Same thing with the SSD. If you got the 256, you'll probably want to go up to at least a 512 gig to give you more room to store your games. And also, if you're going to be using this in a situation where you need reliability, they don't come with a nice NVMe drive. It's very generic, and so it's something that if you'd probably want to upgrade to a more reliable brand. All around, it's a great little PC for most people that are just going to be doing basic tasks, and even some people that want to get into the light gaming. But you're not going to be able to run a lot of the newer emulators for, again, PS3, Xbox 360, and beyond that, just because it's just going to lag on you so bad if it'll even load the game. You aren't going to have the option for a external GPU unless you want to spend a lot of money at that point. Might as well do a desktop. But all around, it's going to be a great PC for most people. That's going to be about it for this one. Now, however, I do want to show you what I'm going to be working on next, and that is this Firebat mini PC. And this is the A6. It gets really good reviews. The average retail on this one is, as built, which I'll tell you about in just a second, is about $380. This comes with the Ryzen 7 6800H and 16 gigabytes of RAM, DDR5. This is a dual channel system, but it only comes with one stick, so I do have another stick of DDR5 16 gig that I'm going to add to it. I'm also going to upgrade the SSD that's in it, just because, again, it's going to be a generic, and I'm going to want something a little more reliable. I'm going to be doing a video on this where I'm going to rip off the plastic, take this thing apart, get this RAM and the SSD installed. So, until then, we'll talk to you later.